Hello Patreon subscribers and new listeners. Today's video is Proof Science is Religious. We're going to cover some interesting findings hidden in plain sight from the science community. You see, when you look at the periodic table of elements, you will start to see similarities between the names of the elements and the names of the planets. This connection is very easy to detect once you see the obvious similarities. And so we got the element plutonium, and then we got the planet Pluto. We have the element uranium, and then we have the planet Uranus. We have the element Neptunium. And then is it a coincidence we have a planet called Neptune? We have the element Mercury. And then we have the planet Mercury. You see, with that one, they didn't even play on the name at all. It's just outright the same name. And they even have the element titanium. And so was all of this a coincidence? I think not. We have elements named Ra, which is actually radium. But the thing is, Ra is also an Egyptian sun god. And so we also have abbreviations like He, which is helium, but it's not too much of a stretch to relate that to Helios, the sun god. And so we also have elements named thorium, which is an obvious play on the word Thor, the god of mythology. And so I believe a lot of these gods are actually named after real spiritual entities that want to be known subconsciously. I mean, their names keep popping up everywhere. It's an obvious attempt to be recognized on a subconscious level. And scientists are the ones that named all of these elements and planets after these false gods. And then we got an element called Prometheus. And the name Prometheus is actually related to a titan of Greek mythology as well. And this one element called thulium, that's an interesting name indeed. I'm sure we heard about the Thule Society. And so this is all very complex, how these names are popping up all throughout science. And so the name Copernicus keeps on popping up with a lot of this stuff as well. Not only is he involved in creating the heliocentric solar system, his name also pops up in the periodic table of elements as an element called Coperniceum. And so we know that Pythagoras and Copernicus are behind a lot of this paganism and a lot of this modern day scientism that has to do with heliocentrism. This Copernicus guy has his name popping up everywhere when it comes down to these suspicious findings. I mean, for what we know, he was involved in the Roman Catholic Church. He was involved with the Jesuits. And so what's with all the naming all of these elements and planets after pagan gods? That's the question we must ask ourselves. And so we must also begin to wonder if science is actually really atheist. Who are these people that are actually in charge of publishing things? We must begin to wonder. And do they have an agenda? I mean, these scientists are obviously obsessed with Greek mythology, and they're actually attempting to convince everybody that you evolved from an animal and you're in the middle of deep space, revolving around a heliocentric sun, and that sun they just happen to worship. They said Copernicus was a sun worshiper, and they also said Pythagoras was a sun worshiper. And there's a lot of connection to sun worship throughout history, right on back through the Greek times, to the Roman times, to the Egyptian times, to the Sumerian times. There's been this connection to sun worship that has been going on, and now they've actually convinced the world that we're flying around the sun. So the whole purpose of all of this seems to come down to modern day sun worship disguised as science, implementing sun worship on a subconscious level through their heliocentric globe agenda. And so it seems like their main agenda is to convince the world that life just began on its own. And they disguise that as science through the Big Bang Theory and evolution. The people that have invented these lies are actually not atheists. They worship something else. And so why would this science agenda want everyone to believe that there is no creator through their false teachings of the heliocentric solar system? We'll have to cover that in another video. But let me know what you think. Leave a comment and let me know why you think that they would go through all of this heliocentric false globe agenda. Check out my heliocentric deception playlist for much more information on the subject. I'll leave the link in the comment section and the description box. Simply enter your email address at feedyourmind1.com. That way I can send you some cool news briefs throughout the week. It's completely free. I'm giving away free collectibles from my Feed Your Mind pop-up shop. Simply like, comment, and subscribe, and include your favorite Flat Earth proof to enter. Please chip in $1 to $5 to my Patreon page. I'll hook you up with some free videos before they come out. Plus, I have some other cool gifts and surprises for you over at patreon.com/feedyourmind. Please click your notification bell. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind. Thank you for tuning in. Signing off.